looking like, wait a minute, wasn't Peggy supposed to be starting the show? Well, Peggy is sick today, so I'm going to be your host, Monica Henderson. And today, I want to ask you the question, are you having a hard time figuring out how to brand yourself? Well, today's conversation is going to help you build your brand by helping you tell the truth about your brand. Let's get this party started. Oh, yeah. All right, so we are going to get this party started. But to help me have this conversation, we have Tina Bakehouse and Denise Belisle, who are going to have us have this conversation. But the other person who's a part of this conversation is you. You are the co-host on the couch. So feel free to take a moment and drop those chats in the comment because we want to hear from you. Let us know where you are, where you're coming from. And if you're watching the replays of this, hit hashtag replay and chime in on the conversation as well. We want to hear from you. So let's get into meeting our co-host. The question, oh, look, we already have co-host on the couch. Way to chime in. Oh, yeah, we have Denise. Look at you. But we have Colleen from on the couch. Hello, Colleen from Maryland. Lovely, lovely. And I want to ask our co-host a question, and feel free, co-host on the couch, to answer this question for yourself as well. What myth about branding did you have to learn about branding when you were branding your own company? And I'm going to start with our special guest today, Tina. So what was the myth that you had to like kind of bust in the branding of your own company?
Well, starting my own business, first of all, it can be daunting because I noticed when I was starting to go into networking groups, I'd always before represented another organization. I'd done my work on the side for more than a decade, but somehow it seemed easier to show this little nice business card with the logo of the organization or the college institution I was a professor at, whatever that may be. So for me, the myth that I felt I had to break through was learning that I didn't need to do all the things. And by that, I mean, as the speaking and story consultant that I am, I had to hone in on where are my people, my heart-centered advocates for change, those leaders, whether they're CEOs or nonprofit executive directors or small business owners, whomever those are, I needed to speak to them, communicate to them. And that took some exploration of recognizing where are they and also tuning into that marketing mindset of it's fun. I want to have fun, not dreading it. And so I learned that something about telling my story, it's beautiful to do so in the written space as well as in the oratory space. So both vocal and verbal written are powerful. So for me, having a really strong presence on my website and a really beautiful blog, communicating with my audience through a newsletter, giving those powerful tips and tools of how to share story or to get on that stage as a signature with the signature talk or as a TED Talk speaker was really valuable. And then I spent time exploring, am I meant to be on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, you name it, Snapchat? There's just a myriad of different platforms out there. And it can be very daunting, particularly when you're starting your own business and posting all the time, 5, 10, 20 times a day. And for me, I wanted to lean in for what was authentic, true, and fun for me, for how I could show up in as the authentic speaker that I am and as that consultant and coach. So I played around and tried some things and really landed on LinkedIn because a lot of leaders hang out in that space, and I can be one of those thought leaders in the communication world, as well as Facebook. When I have that private Facebook group, and I have an Up-Level Your Speaker Style Facebook private group where I do Tuesday tips with Tina B. And I love teaching. And so it gives me that format to show versus just tell my skill sets, doing those different means of showing and exemplifying how to hook your audience as a storyteller, or how to give a good closure when you're getting up on stage with a presentation, or how to best represent yourself when you're going on a live for LinkedIn or Facebook. So I found you can't do all the things. Focus in on a few and do them really, really well, and show up as the who that you are. Embody that spirit, that energy, analyze with authenticity, craft your content, and then you're able to show up with confidence, clarity, and perfect that performance.
Oh yeah. You have Colleen who said, "Hey Tina, excited
Hey,
for
Kelly, it's so good to see you. I'm excited to have you here. And
yes,
you connected me with Monica, so I appreciate that.
yeah." That's the full circle of networking, right? So,
Absolutely.
um, Denise, same question to you. What was that one myth that you had to break to learn, like that you had to learn about in branding your own company? So, as a serenity expert, what was that one thing that you're like, oh crap, I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I can do that. And you're like, oh wait, I didn't have to do it in the first place. So, what's your one tip? Or
Yeah,
your,
I
I'm
think
sorry, your one myth?
first of all, thank you, Tina, for your amazing answer. I think already just from what you said, I've learned a lot. But the myth that I had actually was that I had to have the best business card, the best website, the best exposure on all the social media. I had to have a perfect lineage between Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everything else, and now TikTok and Instagram and everything. But in reality, is my message, my branding is me. So what I've learned is I yes, I have a nice website, that always in process of getting better and stuff like that. But I'm not focusing so much on that. It's a thing to thrive towards making it more dynamic as the new trends are coming in. But for me, I'm not a branding expert, but that's what I was thinking. Oh, I have to have like the super duper website, and I tried to create one myself and I fell and all that stuff. So but what I learned is the branding, my branding is actually who I am. I'm the person that, if I show up, like we'll talk about it a bit later, I think, but it's the way I show up, it's the way I talk, it's the way I express myself, the way I'm, the tips and help here and there that I give people. That's my branding, because I'm the serenity expert, and I'm not a accountant, and I'm not a, like, name it, I'm not a lawyer. I'm That's what I do. So knowing who you are, I think, is the best thing that helped me really brand myself. So that's how I feel about that. Thank you very much.
Mm,
Yes.
beautiful.
Well, Colleen says, Denise, we love you and your energy. Absolutely. Denise is one of my favorite people. And the more time you spend with her, the more amazing she gets as well. So thank you for sharing that. I kind of wanted to, put my 2 cents in here and say, I originally thought that branding my company meant putting my company out there first and me
Mm,
second, right? And that was, I think, the biggest myth that I kind of had to learn myself, which was no one cares about this logo and this name, and what that means. That means nothing. Like Denise was kind of saying, people are buying first and then the branding second, as opposed to the other way around. And so when I first started Mink Life Motivation, and really just kind of business consulting and all of those things, I had to be super serious. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a serious business person, and I'm going to be a business consultant. And um, someone called me out on, because they saw a little slither of my real personality come through. I just like creeped out, and they were like, "Hey, I saw
Who's
it.
that girl?
Who's that? I want to know her." And I was like, "Oh, right." Like that myth for me had to be busted in order for me to become kind of like a lighthouse, right? Like the people who I want to be connected to, the people who I want to work with, the people who are going to enjoy working with me need to know that they're going to enjoy working with me. So all of my quirks and my weirdness, and I let my freak flag fly now all the time, because in the end, the people who work with me are the same kind of weirdo I am, right? They're the same kind of walking contradiction I am. They're the same kind of like beautiful, like menagerie of just, quirky professional weirdness that I am. And so when I embraced that, then I truly started embracing it, and it started flowing through every place. I started being just an oddball everywhere, from the way that my websites were designed, the ways that I decided I was going to market, to the ways that I was going to collaborate with people. Yes, it's done this way, but I don't care if it's done that way. I feel like I can probably create my own space, and people will have fun because I have fun when I'm creating my own space, right? And so all of those things kind of came into play of me really busting that myth. And now I say, like, who are you? That is your brand. And if you don't like it, then nobody else will. And if you like it, at least 1 out of 10 people will like it as well. And there's billions of people on the planet, so there's plenty of people who will love it. I look like I froze. Did I freeze?
Yeah, you're frozen a little bit.
Oh, very cute.
You're very
Well,
beautiful.
Looking
there we
for the
go.
phone.
I love it. Well,
I like the
another
little
interesting
kitten
thing you
with the
said,
tail.
Monica,
So
there
fun.
is when you're talking about letting go of corporate, which is one thing that Colleen mentioned. I think it's amazing how you leaned into that feedback, as it's not your failing, but you saw it as, okay, this is authentic and true to me. And I will not only get to live my truth, but I get to lean into what my business is meant to be and have fun along the way. Because I think for me, I have worked in corporate, and I still do, but you can absolutely have that flair and be super engaging and fun.
Super, super right. You can see me now, yes?
Yes,
You are back.
Yay!
the little kitty tail is gone.
The power of live and live programming, right? So I'm going to help us kind of keep this on the rails and stay on track. And we are going to help people get motivated today by focusing on our focus for today, which is the truth about your brand. So why is living your truth while branding important to your brand message? And I'm going to go directly to Tina, as Tina is the expert in this messaging part. Why is living in your truth while branding so important?
People want truth, and stories are truth. As a communication strategist, John Capecci says, we're all natural orators of our own lives. And what we want to hear are the truth telling, the stories, because stories really, truly transport our heads into our hearts. And if you are open and vulnerable, I love Brene Brown. She's a great example of a researcher storyteller. And if you watch her TED Talk on vulnerability, that little snippet of vignette, a quick anecdote she shares in a moment of this person who was to in the press trying to push and promote her talk, said, well, I don't want to call you a researcher. I think it'd be boring, but I also, why not be a storyteller? And she was struggling with that. And she said, well, I am a researcher storyteller, and she owned it. So I think being able to live in that space and live the truth is what people long to hear. And so I realized very quickly that I only can show up as me. And when I'm able to do that, your audience has 2 options. All communication is persuasive, and they can choose to listen to you or they can choose to tune you out. And I choose for them to listen. And for them to listen is for me to share story, and to do that through a beautiful structure, to embody emotion, to embody sensory details. So I transport their brains into that space, and they can feel the struggle, experience the struggle. And too many times I think we don't get in the messy, and it's the messy that we learn most. For stories are transformative. That's where change happens. They're change makers, and it's being that creative. And for stories are 22 times more memorable than facts, and that's imperative. Is when you live in your truth and you own it and you feel it, your audience will feel it too.
Absolutely. I love that. That is spot on, dead on, and amazing. Colleen chiming in on the couch again. I need to fall in love with it. Most of us do. I think a lot of times we have a hard time leaning into, like, I have to tell my story. And that is the hardest part. Denise, why is it so important to tell your truth when you're branding?
It's a lot easier to tell the truth than to lie.
Absolutely.
Because the truth is the truth. You will always remember the truth, unless you tell a lie so often that you think it becomes the truth. But I'm not going to go there. So, but I've known people that have told themselves lies for so long that they believe it's the truth, and then we have to bring them back with serenity. But anyway, that's another podcast altogether. But I think the way I feel about that is when I show up if I show up as myself, like I'm a little bit like, that's why I'm close to Monica, because we're both a bit quirky, and we like to joke and we don't take ourselves seriously. But when people work with me, that's how I am. Like yesterday, I started a coaching session, and I said, "I'm sorry, I have to vent for a few minutes. There was something that just happened, and I say I gotta let it out to someone." And my client was like, "Wow, okay, yeah, thanks." But like usually professional is like, "Oh, your place is not there to talk about yourself." And I say, "Hey, I just need to express my feeling about one thing." And it was like, "Yeah, cool," because that's who I am. It's like there was something that was like bugging me, and I said, "I need to talk it out." And he said, "Okay, thanks," and then we went on to our session. And it's just how I am. And that's my brand. Because if I try to be very serious and, like very proper and talk with pause and this and that, and people meet me in person and they say, "Who was the girl in the video? Where did she go? Or why is she there? You're here. You're the one." Right. So I feel that the image that I am, who I am, and I had a hard time admitting that. I was like, "Oh, I look weird on video," for example, right? When you first start, I did a 30-day video challenge, Facebook Live challenge, when Facebook Live started years ago. And I felt very uncomfortable on camera. That changed, by the way. And I felt very uncomfortable on camera, and I was like, "Oh, I look weird, and I talk weird." But in a sense, I don't. It's just the image I had of myself. Or maybe you think I do, but I don't care. And and then I did that 30 minute, that 30 days. And the first day, I think the first 4 or 5 days, I recorded it and then put it in.
Mm.
And when I recorded it, I did like 10 take.
Mm.
Right? 10 takes. And I was like, "Oh no, that's not good enough." And then I was doing it again and again and again. At some point, the reason why I switched, because I was traveling, and then taping it and putting it was too much work. I said, "Okay, let's go live." And then from then on, for the next 25 days or 20 days, whatever that was, I went live. And one time I was really sick. I had a 1 day flu, and I was just like migraine-ish and sick. And then I did my live because I said I was going to do it. And I was in my pajama, and I was like, "I am here. I said I was going to do it. So I'm here." That breaks all this stigma about my image, and the right image or the wrong image. But I did it, and it helped me a lot. Just trusting that I can be myself and be out there. So that's a big thing, that if you're scared to how you show up and how you come out on screen or in person, do a lot more. Just do it voluntarily, like I did a 30-day challenge to myself, just like, "Hey, I gotta break that image that I'm not showing up properly is me. Yes, I'm proper, so I'm showing up the way I am." And it'll help a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I am an introvert, and most people, when they hear that, they kind of go, are you sure? I feel like you're not applying that definition properly, but I am. I am an introvert, and many of you who know my story, I suffer from social anxiety, and all of those things. All of those things are true about me, and I share them all the time. And so when I have to do these large speaking opportunities, I first thing I say is, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous." Just like call it out. I'm so nervous. I suffer from social anxiety. Every time I have to do one of these things, it doesn't matter how big or small, it is absolutely nerve wracking. But we're going to have fun anyway. And I go right into after every single solitary speech that I do that starts with that. Someone comes up to me afterwards and goes, "Thank you for saying that." Because so many people get up here polished and they're perfect, and they're like, and you think I can never do that. And to hear someone who's like me, who's scared of speaking and who's scared, who's nervous, and to see you do it and do it well gives me hope that I can do it too. And so a lot of the times when we show our vulnerabilities and our truth, even when we're teaching people to do these things, but we say, "Hey, right now I'm sucking at this. Me, I am sucking at this in this very moment." The honesty in that really does draw people to that, because they don't buy perfect people. They buy people who are slightly flawed in some of the same ways that they are, that they can see themselves growing into, and that they can see that, like, well, you'll understand me because how many times do people say, "Well, it's different for you because you don't have that problem," right? What we do, we're problem solvers. All
Yeah.
of us in our businesses are problem solvers. So if we don't struggle with the problem that they have, then how are they going to see a way out, right? Or a way to the other side? And so by being truthful in your branding and even calling yourself out when you suck, right? And being like, "Oh my God, I like
Yes.
totally sucked right now. I'm the problem. I sucked. But here's what I'm going to do to make it better." That is a stronger teacher than saying, "I have everything perfect. I always do it right. I'm always amazing." And I've had so many people in our community who I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, my life literally just overcame everything that I needed to do in my business." And they go, "Thank you for being human and showing us that, like, there is the flip side to all of this, that we can be regular humans and also run our businesses, and that it isn't easy all the time." Because, when we're teaching and giving and consulting, we kind of sometimes unintentionally make it seem as though it's easy. And that sometimes alienates our audience. So being truthful about who you are with your brand allows people to kind of, like, one, give you a little forgiveness when you're not 100% on point, right? But two, also recognize that, like, hey, we're all human. You are a full human, and that humanity can come through, and the connection is so much stronger. At least that's how I see it. But I'm going to keep us moving on, and we want to help people stay inspired, because I know sometimes it can be daunting out there in this branding space. And so I want to ask, how does a lack of understanding of the importance of your brand affect your image, right? I once heard it said that you are creating a brand whether you think you are or not, so you might as well be intentional about it. But I want to hear from Tina, as she's our resident expert on, really kind of this brand messaging and the image and all those things pulling forward. How does a lack of understanding the importance of your brand affect your image?
Well, I would say, first of all, just like Denise, I too did a 30-day Facebook Live challenge. And ironically, I hated it initially. So I thought that that was being true to the vulnerability and having this, image piece. And I actually found my journal and I had a metamorphosis, just like a butterfly coming out. And I think when we're going, and I did that challenge, first of all, I had a business coach push me to do so, to sort of heal through some things. But it also helped me discover for myself where were the murky points with how I was talking about myself and talking about my company, because I had to be dead clear. I remember in this transitional phase, I was still working my job as a chief creative officer for a bank. And it was during the very thrust of beginning of the pandemic. And I made a decision to leave that position and work for myself. And so I was doing these online virtual meetings, and clearly saw the importance of meeting people, talking to people. I had one gentleman in one of those experiences actually say to me, well, you could use my services because it's clear you don't know what you're talking about. And this was early on, and I was feeling really insecure about my story, right? Because I was coming forth, and he says, well, you could use my services. And he did this in front of a group of people. So it was very humbling. And it was in that moment, and this was 2 years ago, that I thought, oh my gosh, I have to have laser focus for what my why is. Why I do what I do needs to come first, and it comes from the heart. And then the how and the what should follow. So what I learned very quickly is, first of all, I need to be very clear and have consistency with how I'm speaking about why I do what I do and what it is that I do. I am not a marketer. I don't create logos or do design, but what I do is I can help support you as the professional and give yourself a clear voice. Like, what are those vocabulary word choices that you use? I love that, Monica, both you and Denise talk about having that quirky personality, that you're owning that and you're embodying that with not only how you engage your clients in sessions, but also when you're marketing yourself. So it's knowing what you do and what you don't do, as well as speaking to your mission, speaking to your values, and having a clear perception of what your company is, being in the being and anchoring in that confidence. So it's not only how you speak about it with friends, family, prospecting, clients, etc., but it's also showing up in that space and showing up as the who that you are. And I learned very quickly with that one moment in time is I better get focused. I better say, and I even learned too, I had to get sacred at selling myself, my business, my product, and having a clear call to action. And I was just really poor at it because I'm a teacher. I've been teaching in the field of communication for more than 20 years in a communication studies department, teaching speaking and networking and business communication, as well as storytelling and improv. All of that came natural to me. What wasn't natural to me was the marketing side. And once I asked questions, tested some things, got out there, I realized very quickly that this is a skill. It's one that you are capable of doing. And I think I love how Colleen says, that you can be really bad. She says, when she sucked at something, it was actually Mink Life that found her that support and that expertise. And I really believe in getting supports. It's getting the learning and the teaching of how can you speak clearly, because if you are not really clear, how is your audience going to understand you? Are they going to choose to listen? Are they going to choose to tune out? And are they going to connect with you? Because connections can only happen. You can have a magnetic connection because the story has landed and it aligns with your brand and it aligns with what you do and it aligns with that transformation. Or is it like it happened a year ago when I really wanted to facilitate a group coaching program and I wasn't really clear how to do it, and it came across that way when I was doing a 5-day challenge. It was really funny. I had an awesome 5-day challenge. I taught you lots of yummy stuff. You learned so many cool things of how to become a magnetic speaker, from poise to presence to presentation in the practice. But guess what? Nobody knew how to sign up. So it's really having clarity that matters and knowing what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and get that and attract that audience to your message.
Yeah, Denise, did you want to add to anything that, I mean, Tina kind of like wrapped it all up in a bow for us. We're done now, guys. Thanks for being here at the show. But Denise, is there anything that you wanted to kind of like add to what she was saying?
A tiny bit. What I heard from that question is, for me, the way I apply that, and I love your point of view, Tina, because it's so to the point. But also, and also, like, what do you post? Like, do you post about, like, politics, and do you post about negative stuff? Do you post about your
Yeah,
neighbor that has done this or this or that? Do you post about
cat videos.
ranting and negative, and how do people, like, what you post out there in any social media? It's also your image, it's also
Mm,
your branding. So for me, you would never see anything on my wall that is about ranting or complaining. Or I post some personal stuff, like like last week, it was a year anniversary of my cat pass away, and it was very touching because it was, don't tell the other one, my favorite cat. But I didn't say that. No, you're my favorite cat. But
Hey, the integrity. You just said not to lie in your brand.
no, but I said that on the internet. It was my favorite cat, but I lie to my cat. I'm not on the internet. Anyway, but things like negative energy, especially, like, for me, I'm a serenity expert, and if I was to go there and do a live about being angry about someone, or a delivery that didn't work out, or a company, or whatever, like, that's totally off brand. That's totally not who I am. First of all, I never get angry, but I like, it's not who I am. So if I was
yeah.
to post negative stuff or repost things about politics that has a certain opinion or another, like, then it alienate me from the other side, right? And that's off
Mhm.
my brand, and I don't want to be that person. So I'm just, staying with the brand, staying, like, out out of the internet. I can say whatever I want, with my friends or my surrounding and all that. But when I out there promoting myself, or being, like, here now, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, I'm everywhere right now because I reposted everything. But for me, it's important, and it's me, it's myself. I'm not faking it. I just don't say the things that I feel that are not supporting my brand.
Yeah, that, I think a lot of people, I remember early on, there was a lot of business owners who had like two separate profiles on Facebook. So they had their personal profile and then they had their business profile. And, when people ask, well, what should I do? Like, should I have a separate one so that I can have these conversations? The internet lives on forever, right? Like, you can have two separate ones, but ultimately, the people who want to find information, they will
They
find
will
it.
find us.
And so if you are being split in personality of, well, this is only for my family and this is only for my business, eventually those lines will muddy anyway.
Mm.
So you should be authentic on both sides. But you do, as a public figure, as a business owner, you also have to kind of think of your image and how that image is being put out there and who other people you're protecting, right? So I'm very specific about, like, um, not posting personal parties unless they tag me in posts. And then I will share personal parties because I don't know whose kids are allowed to be on the internet and who's not,
Yeah,
who's given
yeah.
permission to be on the internet or who hasn't. But the way that you actually work through how you're posting and putting your message out there and showing up does actually speak to the integrity of who you are,
Mhm.
whether you're saying it out loud or not. Whether you're saying that I'm an honest person, the integrity of the fact that you have these two profiles and one saying this and the other saying that, that is still speaking volumes to the people who are on both those platforms or on both
Yeah.
of those accounts, right? And so being truthful about who you are, and everyone doesn't need to know everything about you.
People
Uh,
don't need to know what you had for dinner last night.
no,
Unless it's really
unless you're a
beautiful
chef,
and yummy.
right?
Unless you
Unless
want to
you're a chef,
promote a restaurant and you want to,
right? Like, unless
say,
you're giving out
go to
recipes.
this restaurant. Yeah.
Exactly. Or you're like recommending a restaurant or you're
Yeah.
supporting a friend's business. Like, we don't know everything about you. And I think that part is something that sometimes people have a hard time kind of realizing, that what you say and what you don't say are all a part of that branding, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all a part of that conversation that you're having with the world. And it follows you for forever. How many of these comedians got canceled because it's a joke they said
Yeah.
20 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's going to follow you forever. So you should just be a bit mindful about the message that you're putting out, and the messages that you support, that you like and share, because all of those things kind of build into this brand. And trust me, there are people who are not choosing you because you made a post that was off colored. And that's
Mm-hmm.
okay, because they're not your client.
Yeah.
But just know that is the consequence of not knowing your brand, is by essentially alienating some people who are actually watching, and you didn't know it, unless it's turkey dinner.
Yeah, but unless
Nice.
you're vegan,
Nice.
you don't post a turkey dinner if you're
Don't,
That's
vegan.
if
right.
you're vegan, if you're a vegan, don't post a turkey dinner. That is the tip for the day. Okay, so all right, so we're going to keep networking and the understanding. I want to know, just really quickly, who should you ask for help when you are trying to brand your business? And when we talk about branding, we're not just talking about your logos and your websites, but like all of the aspects of it, right? So at Mink Life, we talk about there are 6 components to your branding. There is your executive voice and how you communicate about your business. There is your brand materials, like your logos and your websites. There's your brand story, like how you actually, like, map out your journey to excellence, or your client's journey to excellence. We also talk about customer experience as a part of branding, and your company culture as a part of branding, and also your marketing strategy. So there's many parts. Who should you ask for help when you are trying to brand your business? And I'm going to start with Denise this time, and then go to Miss Gina.
Wonderful. Well, I think with all that you've heard in the last 40 minutes, you should definitely hire Tina. At least have a call with her so that she can tell you how she can help you. And also, I have been working with like the main point of it is that don't try to do it yourself if you don't know what you're doing. So that's one thing. The first point is don't do it yourself if you don't know what you're doing. And secondly, look for professionals. So Tina is a professional. She can help you with your storytelling and everything. I've worked with Jerry Foster, who's also like he called himself the brand evangelist. And he's been working for like Johnson and Johnson and a whole bunch of big companies. He's been doing that for 35 years. So I've been working with him, and he helped me a lot also, like just bring out the essence of who I am and what I do. And it helps me a lot to define my message and to really know what to say and what's my image,
Mm.
like who am I?
Yeah.
And but go seek professional. Don't try to do it yourself. It's like if you're not an electrician, don't do your electrical wiring in your house. Same thing. If you want to enhance your branding, like your who you are, your mission, your values, your vision, and how to bring that out into the world in a speaking way, storytelling. And thanks, Tina. And so go seek professional. Go find the people that can help you. And a lot of people are offering free consultation for one call. Go try a couple, and the one that resonate the most with you, hire them, because it's going to bring you money like tenfold.
Oh, yes. Tina.
Well, Denise, what sweet little plug. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you. I would say I am happy to support helping you in the story structure. I think people get
Hmm.
crippled with, I have so many stories or I have 0 stories. So it's a mining for gold. And I
Yeah.
love that we all have gold from experiences from our personal childhood and adulthood to professional. So helping you learn those 5 beats to a great story, getting at the through line of what is the story about and that transformation. What's your business origin story? Or what are those testimonials? How can you bring in that beautiful point of view to really ask yourself, what is my story, or what is this story going to do for you? So I would be happy support you. Here's my brand, conversational bubbles. But I'm happy to support you in your journey because all of you are storytellers. You got to own it and you can let the story do the work. As well as if you have that signature talk where you're trying to get your brand, your work out there, and you have a book you've published, but you just don't know how to talk about it. I love helping people find their voice and share it in a very meaningful, authentic way.
Yeah, one of the things that I love doing is pulling together a resource of people who can help you with all of those things. And that's exactly kind of what we love doing here at Mink Life Motivation is bringing people like Tina to you. Like, hey, your story sucks. Go talk to Tina. Right? Or, having a conversion copywriter help you with those web pages and those emails, right? Or having your headshot strategist, shout out to Peggy, really help you identify what are those pictures you're supposed to have. Like there are so many components. There's 6 components to your branding, right? And you can't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. And truthfully, you would probably suck at it if you did it alone because trying to do all of the things by yourself is so much harder. And you can't be really good and really proficient at one thing if you're focused on 6 different things. So having a community of people to support you in that way is super useful. And the having the conversations, frankly, openly, and honestly with people like, hey, like I'm not getting the results I'm looking for. With my branding, like I'm saying this, what does this say to you? And being open to that feedback from people is really helpful. So if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm talking about the people in the Mink Life community. Yes, all of us, right,
Plug.
are in our own zone of genius in this space, and quite a few of them, like Bob Taylor and Peggy and Colleen, all have a different way of helping you with that branding. From Colleen helping you with that bank messaging, to Peggy with the headshots, and to Bob Taylor with your conversion copywriting. And then we have Amy Lancy, who has this Milk Crate Mastermind, so you can practice that good work that you do with Tina, right? Like all of us together can support how you push forward, but you have to be willing to say, hey, I can't do it alone. I do need some support. And then we're here, open arms. Come on in, baby. Right here, this big business hug. We got you, right? So really surrounding yourself with these kinds of awesome people are great. And if our tribe's not your tribe, we're a little too quirky, a little too weird, that's fine. Find a tribe to support you. Because you need a mastermind, or you need a group of people that will be there to support you through it. Just don't do it alone. And that's the most important part. Colleen chimes in with, it's more fun when you do it with others. So right. And she also shout out to the brand builder, which kind of helps you identify those 6 parts. Thank you so much for that, Colleen, chiming in on the couch. All right, we are at the end of the show, and I knew this group we were going to talk too much and have too much fun together. So we have to pull this together really quick. Lightning round. 1 tip is what we're looking for this time. Just one. So you got to take a second. 1 tip to build your brand. And I'll go to our guest first, Tina.
Have your clear business origin story. There's so many stories that get really laser focused, laser clear on what was the struggle, why do you do what you do.
Love it. All right, Denise.
What she said, plus be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to. It's nice to take inspiration from other people. Like I cannot be Monica. Regardless of how much I try, I cannot be Monica. I can take inspiration from Monica, from Tina, but I cannot be them. I can only be me. So be yourself and find whatever Tina said, your vision, your mission, your why, do all that. And best way to brand yourself properly.
And I will say, get really comfortable with negative feedback. Negative feedback
Yeah.
is your best friend. I say it all the time. Cheat codes to life. If someone can tell you how you suck, you know exactly how you can make yourself better. So when someone says, hey, I did not like blah, 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 You say, hold on, hold that thought for a second, wait a minute. You go grab your pen, grab your paper, grab some popcorn because it's going to get good, and hear all of that feedback that they have for you, because that's going to be the shortcut to you making sure that you are better than ever. So embrace the negative feedback.
Mhm.
That
I
is
love that.
our show for today. But before we go, I have very interesting happenings in the community, including the people on here. So it's time for announcements, announcements, announcements. I am now contractually
Nice single.
obligated to sing that because I started singing it, I don't know, 100, 200 shows ago, and now people expect it. So for our announcements, I'd like to have Tina go first. What is your announcement for the community? How can we connect with you? How can we stay in touch? How can we work with you?
Absolutely. I would love to have you check out my website, tinabakehouse.com. That's tinabakehouse.com. I also have a YouTube channel, Magnetic Speaking with Tina B. And join me for, if you want to learn more, how to market yourself to success, October 5th, 11 Central Standard Time. It's 11 to noon, a nice lunch time frame for some of you, and others a brunch. So 11 to noon Central Time, and it's 5 tips to find your voice and market yourself to success. And I'm co-facilitating that with marketing strategist, Dr. Karen Finn. So join me October 5th. If you can't, you can still register. The link will be in the chat and you can get the recording. So I'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Denise?
Well, you can contact me and have a conversation with me. I'd love to meet you and show you how, it doesn't have to be so stressful to develop your brand and to be yourself when you're online and when you talk to people. And if you feel like all nervous, having anxiety, it's like, I don't think I can do it. And then you're sweating your palm or sweating, and it's like, I can't. But call me. We'll have a conversation. We'll find out. I work with the voices in your mind that tells you you're not good enough. So we'll put them to sleep, quiet them down, and you'll be an expert into just being who you are. And then you can show your brand and shine your brand. You can go from crisis to oasis.
Ooh,
Love
crisis
that.
and justice.
I want to
Love,
be an ACES.
love that. And of course, at the Mink Life community, we have so much going on at any given time. But first things first, I want to say, if you were enjoying this conversation and you love all these people, well, guess what? You can be a part of our community. Yes, you. You can join our community where we have a private group app where you can watch videos in our knowledge library. You can direct message other community members like Denise, and you can ask for help and share your expertise. But it's not just an app. It's not only a digital experience, but we actually do an in-person daily co-working space. That's right, daily co-working space. So 6 days a week, we go onto Zoom and we co-work together where you can get things done. It's a better way to get results. We also, as in part of our membership, provide amazing opportunities for our community to actually collaborate. So not only do we have this live show, but it is also put into a podcast for those of you who love to listen as opposed to watch. And we also have publication where we highlight different members of our community. And there's so many other collaborative opportunities, from conferences to courses. But the latest collaboration that our community has pulled together, I'm so excited to announce. It's the Get Shit Done sessions. I said it. You heard it right. Get shit done. We all have those things that we've been saying we were going to do all year on our to-do list. You have that list. It's stuff that keeps putting on at the bottom, at the bottom, at the bottom, at the bottom. Well, we are providing 1 hour work sessions as a community, facilitated by experts in our community to help you get shit done. That's right. Get it off your list. Get it done so that you can go into the new year feeling amazing, fantastic, wonderful, and that you are able to actually move into the new year with new sets of goals and new things to do, not that same old boringness that you've been regurgitating every single year. And guess what? Your friend Denise teaching one of those sessions.
I'm the
I'm
first one on Saturday.
I'm Exactly. I am teaching sessions next week. They're in life, business, branding, and networking. Anything from junk drawer cleanup to master calendaring to figuring out the one thing that you need to just focus on to actually digital what is it, digital organizing. We have like sessions that are like profit loss statements. I know that boring stuff that we keep pushing back and back and back that we don't want to do. We have people in our community who will help you get through it, and they'll be there to hold your hand while you're doing it. So 1 hour sessions. If you want to learn more about that, you're going to go to minklifeuniversity.com and you're going to start getting shit done. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, with that, I don't think there's any more announcements. I think it's just time to go. So, I want to say thank you to Tina. We are like 5 minutes over because we love each other so much. It's fine. Thank you to Tina for joining us on the couch. We would love to have you back. And Denise for always being a willing co host to jump in and have the conversations. And we will see you tomorrow with Colleen Struby. And her show is at Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, same channel, wherever you're watching it now, it will be here again. We will see you very soon. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye.